Right. I think you said something there is you want to grow profitably, right? In the type of growth that we do at Campus Inc. with venture-backed growth, we actually have to burn when you guys hear like, hey, we raised an investment, we actually have to spend it pretty quickly and deploy it. And the goal is by the time that money's run out, you need to be profitable and you need to start breaking even, right? And so if you're thinking about growth in your business, most shops listening to this are bootstrapped, meaning they haven't taken much outside funding. And so that means they can really only invest in growth what they make. And so I think the first principle of this is that real growth costs money. And if you are going to grow your business as the owner, you still have a cost associated to you, right? I feel like sometimes shop owners don't value the cost that they have to grow the company, like your salary, your time, your livelihood, those kind of things. But real growth costs money. Um, and I want to make sure that people understand real growth is different than just natural growth. Bruce, what do you see in our? Do you see when I say that? What does that make you think? Like
Well,
real growth versus natural growth.
yeah, I kind of am curious on why the 10, what like why 10 million, um and was that the goal of it to then back into the cost to be able to get there?
I think for us, we knew that if we were gonna, we saw the end goal and we're like, we have to climb to that to be able to afford what we want to do, to be able to have the engineers and the CTOs and to be able to do everything. The business could not operate at 5, 6, 7 million dollars. Like that was almost we had to get to that next milestone to be able to get to profitability and get to steady state and those kind of things. So it's almost like an ultimatum that we set for ourselves and giving ourselves a certain time horizon.
When you thought about that, did you break it down? 'Cause obviously, there's seasonality, there's you know the spend aspects, but did you break it down into a budget? Because I remember, you know, when I was starting to go through budgeting, I figured, wow, we need to be a little bit more proactive in hiring, or we need to like actually understand the different areas of spend that we have and create budgets for different departments. Did you break that down into almost monthly goals or quarterly goals? And I know you run traction, so do these two things correlate? Because I'm trying to understand the pathway to like, all right, we kick off the year, it's 2023, it's January. By March, we need to be at X so that we can plan for the hiring and the marketing spend and all this other stuff.
Yeah, so now it's daily. I mean, every morning we
Oh,
know exactly how much we have to sell every single day on every single one of our channels to hit our goals. So I think the first point is real growth costs money. Natural growth will happen, word of mouth. Your business should probably grow at least the inflation rate or how the economy's doing, things 4, 5, 6%, 10%, that'll happen. But if you want to really step on it, there's going to be a cost associated to it. Now, to understand that cost, the first thing that we did at Campus Inc. was we hired a CFO. And I basically was like, look, if we're going to try to light this thing up, I have to know down to the penny and nickel how this is going to work because you could essentially blow up in the atmosphere. And so, to your point, Bruce, we brought Steve Watson in. And I kind of like splurged. I was like, I have to know my numbers. I can't wait till the end of the month and then figure out like, oh, did I grow or not? Or maybe I want to do this next month. Like, no, we have to calculate everything. And so I think the first element to growth is almost overpaying for really good financials, if you
mm.
will, right? Like
Oh, for
if
like modeling.
yeah, right. And so I hear shops saying like, I don't like my accountant or I don't like my CFO, I don't like this or that. It's like pay a premium because if you get the right one, you'll never look back and they'll pay themselves off, right? Like Bruce, you kind of said that.
What
Like
is a
I
premium? Like I'm assuming a CFO is 100 to 200K ish a year. Is there a stepping? Because that's a lot, right? So is there, and that makes sense at a stage. Is there a? Have you tried a fractional, or do you like what do
yeah,
those run?
So we kind of started with the traditional business bookkeeper, right? And we went to a profit first, couple $1,000s a month. Then when we raised money from Mark Cuban, I got a fractional CFO.
Oh,
So
you
that
did
was
do
like
that one.
a pretty intense accounting company. And so did you know that accounting is everything in the past, finance is future? Do you know
I
that?
learned this about a year ago.
Wild.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and so
I thought we were
uh,
just throwing around words.
yeah. And so Watts is like, no, finance is future state, accounting's past state. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
huh, okay.
All
So a
right.
fractional
And
CFO,
EBITDA is what again?
uh, and so anyways, so we overpay like, $3,000, $4,000 a month, 40, $50,000 a year. But like, it's almost like doing a crazy audit on the business and them really, 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 really getting in and you kind of like having premium service. And so when we brought in Mark's money, that was the first thing that we're like, okay, if we're going to bring on outside capital, we have to just get the best of the best. And to your point, so we went from a couple $1,000s a month to 4,000, $4,000 a month to a full time CFO to now he has an entire team that do different things: accounts receivable, accounts payable, taxes, licensing, payroll, you name it. Um, but we grew, as the business grew, I also grew that department and spend because it's like the most important part of everything.